outcome that you don't like, it's still information. But I think we just get way too caught up in this concept of judging that outcome rather than looking at it as something we can separate ourselves from and ask, did this work for me? No. Okay, let's pivot in the other direction. Did this work for me? Yes. Okay, cool. Let's double down on this and do more of that. And the irony of all of this is that the constant second guessing you wind up doing actually wastes more time than if you just would have gone ahead with the original decision.
Let's link up with Krista on the FYX. She's a wellness coach with a focus on mental well-being and physical strength.
What's up, FYX listeners? Welcome back to our latest episode of the FYX podcast. I'm your host, Krista Huber. Happy August. The summer is flying by, and I know we're about to hit that rush of everyone being like, all right, August is here, September is coming. I'm going to get back into my routine. And what have I done with this summer? Reflecting on this idea of how I've spent my summer related to your fitness goals, your fat loss goals, maybe even personal goals, maybe making transitions in a job, starting a new business, whatever it is. And with that, there's often this reflection period that I think gets disguised as regret. And I've been thinking about this. And of course, with the way that the Instagram algorithm powers that be, it feels like it reads my mind. And was scrolling the other day looking for some content for one of our marketing clients, and I stumbled upon a quote from Gary Vee that has been living rent-free in my head ever since, because it's so relatable to a past version of myself and to something I hear on repeat with pretty much every client that we work with, whether that's business related or even when it comes to your fitness and fat loss goals. And that's this idea of having wasted time. And what Gary said is that everybody is completely obsessed with this notion of quote unquote wasted time. Things like, I made a wrong decision, I married the wrong person, I picked the wrong job, I moved to the wrong city. All things that I'm sure as you're hearing me say this, you're like, yeah, I've maybe said some flavor of that before. I've heard somebody say that before. I said that over the course of reflecting on 2020 and deciding to quit my job, realizing I was in the wrong relationship. I kept looking back being like, did I potentially waste these last 4 years? And what Gary goes on to say inside of this soundbite that I just listened to, and I was like, hell yeah, everyone needs to hear this. So we're going to go talk about it on the FYX podcast is, how about you just do not believe in the story of wasting time? How about you believe that whatever decision you made is simply a part of your story? And I heard that and I was just like, yes. That is so true. And he goes on to say in the rest of the clip how, like, any good book you read, any movie that really gets you to think that you really like, what does it have in it? It has tension. It has conflict. It has a character who has essentially made some sort of wrong decision, but that then leads them to the right one, right? And so when I zoom out and I really think about this in the context of conversations that we have with all of our clients, and this shows up especially with our women out there who put a lot of pressure on themselves, who are high achieving, who set that high standard and that high bar that there's absolutely nothing wrong with. I hear this sentiment a lot in different kind of forms. Like, let's say you're reflecting on your journey when it comes to fitness and nutrition. It's a lot of the whole, I wasted time trying this other program that like it worked for my friend, but it didn't work for me. And now I'm here and I like could have started on this journey with you inside of the Fitness FYX like 5, 7, 6 years ago, but now here I am starting it now. Or I feel like I'm behind because I should have figured this out sooner. And to that I say, so what? Right? You didn't. Or maybe it's even in those small micro decisions of like, you went out to dinner, you were really trying to be super structured with your macros and you planned the whole day perfectly. And then maybe they didn't have the item that you wanted to order, or people at dinner ordered some appetizers and you really wanted to enjoy those. And all of a sudden, before you knew it, you walked into that dinner kind of hungry. The combination of all those factors, you then chose something impulsively. And the reality was was that decision actually did not put you any closer to your goals. So you sit there and you say things to yourself like, I knew better than that. Why did I actually do that? Why did I make that choice? So today, I want to offer you a little bit of a reframe with that. And I really want you to think about what message you're actually sending to yourself when you say that. And just start by answering this one question. What if you didn't actually waste any time? You're like, oh, yeah, Krista, well, that's easier said than done. That's easy to say thinking about it in hindsight. But it's like, no, you actually do beat yourself up a lot about this because you're like, I did this and this and this and this. And therefore, because I did those things, it put me in this position that I am in right now that I don't want to be in. Okay. But the most important part is the fact that you know that you do not want to be in that position. So here's the reframe. What if this season, this moment, this time, the state that you're currently in that you do not like, rather than looking at it as some sort of setback or something that you're regretting, what if you realize it was setting you up to get to the other side of where you are now? And I feel that my own personal story is such a powerful way to frame all of this because of the fact that like I've been the person who really felt like they made multiple wrong decisions in a row. And then as you heard in an episode not even 2 months ago, I talked about the fact that like I had a note written in my phone that I probably heard from some other podcast that was like, I'm just now learning that if you make a decision, all you got to do is just go make the next one, even if the one right before it wasn't the right one. And that's really what it's all about. But what I want you to remember is where this becomes a snowball, because you start by saying, oh, I wasted time. And then what does that turn into? Unfortunately, a lot of inaction. Because what happens is you start to tell yourself this story of being afraid to start because you think you're going to make the wrong decision again, because you don't have evidence of you making the right decision. And technically, you probably did if you looked for it, but our brains are wired that way. We start to tell ourselves this narrative. We start to convince ourselves that something is true. And then we go and we look for all of the things to actually confirm that that's true. So you tell yourself things like, oh, like I shouldn't do this right now, or, oh, these were the decisions I made over the summer. So yeah, like once I'm back into the season in the fall, set myself up to start things back up the way I want to and like really recommit to my health and wellness. I just think that's one of the easiest examples to illustrate this with. But then what happens? Like 3 weeks into the new school year, into that fresh season, and you're like, oh yeah, well, I did this for a little bit, but now I see that it's not working and you're not sticking it out long enough. And there you are, back in that same cycle of losing and regaining the same 10 to 15 pounds over. And what are you doing? You're confirming the story that you don't have the right information, that you don't know how to make the right decisions. And then you tell yourself it's not worth it for you to start. Then you tell yourself it's just not the right time. Then you tell yourself that you can't invest in somebody, some coach like you get inside of the Fitness Fix, because you do not actually trust yourself to go ahead and do the thing. But how in the freaking world are you going to ever trust yourself again if you do not take action? So you sit in a cycle of trying to find the perfect answer instead of just moving forward with what probably feels aligned. If you sat with yourself and you really thought about it for just a minute and you said, okay, let me try this out. Because again, you have the autonomy to just go and make another decision. And if you would just make the decision and not judge it for whatever outcome you get from it, you're at least going to inch yourself closer to the outcome that is getting you to where you want to go. If you believe the fact that even the wrong decision is still giving you information, it's still providing you value, because objectively, it's helping you recognize that that's not what you want either, right? Like even in the outcome that you don't like, it's still information. But I think we just get way too caught up in this concept of judging that outcome rather than looking at it as something we can separate ourselves from and ask, did this work for me? No. Okay, let's pivot in the other direction. Did this work for me? Yes. Okay, cool. Let's double down on this and do more of that. And the irony of all of this is that the constant second guessing you wind up doing actually wastes more time than if you just would have gone ahead with the original decision. So the putting off and pushing off and waiting for attacking your health and wellness goals over the summer because you think fall will be a little bit more optimized to do that. But then fall rolls around and you're still just as busy as you were before. And then you start to tell yourself, oh, maybe I should have started this sooner. And then because you are judging yourself for the timing of when you started it, guess what? You just didn't start. And what good does that do for you? Absolutely nada. So I want you to pause and I want you to ask yourself, what story are you telling yourself about your past? Whatever situation you are in right now that you are looking to change, what is the story that you have around it? Is it a story of regret? Is it a story of supposed wasted effort? Or here's the reframe. Is this a story of evolution? Because for me now, 5 years later, when I think about all of the things that I thought I wasted my time on, jobs I chose after college, people I chose to align myself with in both personal and professional relationships. There were so many moments inside of it where I was like, I wasted time on this. But I also realized if I just use the professional examples, that literally gave me every single one of those experiences, gave me a crash course, like thrown into the fire experience of what it is like to not only build a business, but also try to operate it at the same time, bring in more customers, keep the existing customers happy, keep them referring other people. And I know without a shadow of a doubt that I had to go through those experiences to get to where I am right now today. I don't know that I would even have the appreciation for the hustle that is required to now run 2 businesses and manage multiple teams and support our clients across the board for both, had I not been in situations where I found myself working 80 plus hours per week for somebody else's dream. And I'm so grateful for that. This is me reframing that story because that's what allows me to not think twice about doing it for myself, because at that rate, it's also even more rewarding. And at that rate, I've also been able to see the type of leader I want to be, the type of coach that I want to be, the type of boss that I want to be, the type of friend that I want to be, the type of partner that I want to be. And those things are all really uncomfortable in the moment. But the time when I sat and regretted the decisions and had way too much time on my hands to just reflect on them, truthfully, that's actually when I felt the worst about myself. It's also when I took the least care of myself. It was in that period of a lot of regret and a lot of confusion and a lot of questioning if I was making the right choice, that for whatever reason, it felt easier for me to just kind of shut down, not want to keep a consistent workout routine, have absolutely no desire to want to track my food or anything like that. And that's because I was perpetuating that story of like, this feels hard, this feels uncomfortable. Let me just go ahead and make myself even more uncomfortable. And as I repeat that back now and I reflect on it now, it's like, that actually sounds so silly. But keeping that reframe going, why was it so great that that happened to me? Because I can sit here right now on this podcast today and hopefully give this advice to somebody who really needs to hear it, because you're in that phase, in that version that I'm describing, that old version of me that felt this way. And had I not gone through that, I would not be able to even have the perspective that I do right now, to be able to share this right now. So if you're telling yourself this story of, yeah, I feel stuck, I feel hesitant, you're going to continue to behave in that way. You're going to continue to act in that way. You're going to continue to second guess every single thing. So maybe the better questions to ask are questions like, what if the wrong program that you participated in, the wrong diet approach, actually moved you closer to the one that is right for you? What if the wrong job actually clarified the kind of life that you really want? What if the wrong relationship did that for you? I know that that's what I can say about those experiences for me. So here are some of the better questions I want you to ask yourself. Keep these in your back pocket. You know, as I say on my more reflective episodes, write these in your phone in a note to come back to, journal on them. They're yours for the taking. What did that past, let's call it season, event, experience, job, relationship, whatever, what did that past season reveal about what I actually value? That's question number one. What did that past season reveal about what I actually value? Number two, how did that situation, season, relationship, job help me clarify my non-negotiables? How did that situation help me clarify my non-negotiables? And then the last one, this one I want you to sit with. What part of me am I still trying to prove something to? What part of me am I still trying to prove something to? Notice all of these questions are going to pull you forward. They're not asking you to judge yourself. They're asking you to find the lesson. They're asking you to find what information, what things did I learn about myself that can now influence these next decisions that I'm going to make. They give meaning to your experience instead of those feelings of shame that you are associating with that regret. And that's important because if you can find the value in something, it's literally impossible for you to associate that with seeming like a waste. And as that high achieving person, I know you want to move fast and I know you want to feel like you can trust yourself to make the right decision. And I know you just want to go with it. And that feeling of wanting to move quickly, of wanting to see the results come quickly, a lot of times that is coming at the expense of us then beating ourselves up for doing the wrong thing because we're thinking that we always have to have the right answers. And in the more we do that, the less trust we have with ourselves. But it comes back to actually having more trust with yourself. Making the time to reflect is going to help you find that trust again. And you will find that trust when you shift all of those past experiences to believing that they weren't there to derail you in any kind of way. These past experiences are here to develop you. They're here to help shape the version of you that you haven't even actually gotten to yet. And when you invest in yourself and when you invest in support and when you get inside of the communities that can do that for you, whether that is the support with health and wellness, whether it is the support of growing your business, saying what you want to say online, it will actually move faster because you have the guidance of a coach who is going to say to you, hey, we're not going to sit in this in regret. What can we pull away from this? How can we apply this to the next situation and help you then move to the next decision faster? And that choice is what's actually going to get you to where you want to go. So take the 5 minutes, reflect on those questions. Maybe you come back to them once a month. Maybe every quarter you sit down with yourself and you ask yourself, where are the times that I've told myself recently that I've wasted time? And then run through those 3. They'll be down in the show notes if you need them. With that, from wherever you're listening from, I hope you have a wonderful rest of your day, and I will catch you guys next week.